Welcome to Mishna study with Masechet Demai, Perek Daled Mishnah Gimal. Over here, it's our Mishnah Gimal. Others have this as Mishnah Bet. Over here, we're going to speak about if someone forces his friend. I use the term forces over here because he basically causes his friend to swear. He makes his friend swear that he's not, that he must eat by his house. Right? How does he do so? He could say, if you don't eat by my house, I'm not going to benefit anything from you until you eat by my, and now, okay, so now this person has to go eat by his friend's house, but he doesn't trust him when it comes to ma'asrot. So what does he do? That's what we're going to speak about for this Mishnah. ולשבת שנייה, אף על פי שנודר ממנו הניה, לא יאכל עד שיהיה עשר. So if a person is מדיר את חברו, right? He causes his friend, he makes his friend, he forces his friend to eat by him, right? Makes his friend promise that he'll eat by his house. But the person, if this person doesn't trust his friend when it comes to ma'asrot. So what does he do? So the Mishnah says over here, he eats with him the first Shabbat. The first Shabbat, he's allowed to eat by his house. He's an Am Haaretz. But on condition, right, even though he doesn't trust him on the Ma'asrot, on condition that his friend says, oh, they are separate, they are me'usar. I did separate the Ma'asrot. Now, generally, we can't trust this person, right, because he's not a Ne'eman. He's a regular Am Haaretz. We don't trust him. This is the typical Demai. Why do we trust him when it comes to the first Shabbat? So Rambam says we trust him on the first Shabbat, because of peace. We don't want to cause conflict. And if a person makes his friend swear to eat by his house, over here, this first Shabbat that he comes over, he's allowed to eat as long as his friend tells him, I separated Masrot. All right, this is a very interesting Hidush. It's a great Hidush. And something that we can really take, learn a lot from. Now, what happens to the next Shabbat? The next Shabbat, the second Shabbat, already at this point, Chachamim say, no, that's enough. Even if he swears and says, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to benefit from you until you eat from me, he's not allowed to eat until he separates the Masrot. Already now, I think he has enough time to prepare, right? He could separate the two Masrot. There are ways of doing so before Shabbat to prepare, whereas the first case, he may not have enough time to prepare. But via the second Shabbat, he could take care of the situation beforehand, and therefore, he must separate Trumot Masrot before eating by his friend's house on the second Shabbat, right? So it's very interesting. A person is forced to eat by his friend's house. Chachamim allow him on the first Shabbat to eat even by a person who's not Ne'eman. That first Shabbat, he's allowed as long as his friend told him that they were Me'usar, but the second Shabbat, he needs to take care of the Masrot before he eats there.